Hello everyone, welcome to AVLSI lecture number 8, part 2. Today we are going to start with common source amplifier with current source load. Okay, so let's see a brief comparison between the two first and then we will proceed. So in the last session we have compared a common source amplifier with resistive load and a common source amplifier with an ideal current source load. So in the gain formula we have the following result. In a resistor as a load, the gain AV was minus GM into RAD parallel to RO. So the load impedance here was RO parallel to RAD. In case of an ideal current source as a load, the gain formula becomes minus GM into RO. Here, there is no actually physical resistance, but still we can achieve a very high gain with the load impedance being RO. So with this brief introduction, let's start building the circuit for the common source amplifier with a current source load. Yeah. So this is a circuit in front of your screens, as you can see. This is precisely the common source amplifier with a PMOS device being used as a current source. So in the last lecture, we have already discussed that PMOS transistor or an NMOS transistor can act as a current source. So in this case, my PMOS transistor, when its source terminal is connected to VDD, its drain terminal is connected to Vout over here, and the gate terminal between the gate and the source terminal, we have connected the bias voltage VB. This voltage is connected in such a way that it will make sure that M2 transistor is in saturation. And if M2 transistor is in saturation, this device will work as a current source, right? So your M1 is your driver transistor and M2 is your load transistor, which is your PMOS load as a current source. Now, let us discuss this point. So in the earlier one, RAD was the cause of reduction in the gain. As you can see, it was a parallel combination. So we replaced the resistor RAD with a current source to maximize the gain. That is what we have seen here. So current source can be built using MOSFETs. So this is a classic example over here, how current source can be built using MOSFETs. So this circuit over here is using a PMOS load as a current source load. Now, to find the voltage gain of the circuit, we have to draw the small signal model of the circuit, right? Now, this is the same circuit which we have seen over here. Now, instead of calling it, VB showing the connection like this, we will just show it like this, VB. And mind you, this V shown over here is a combination of your bias voltage for M1 as well as the input voltage, AC voltage. So please remember that. You remember the microphone signal and the V1 bias, so it will come over here. From right now, it's understood that even if it is not drawn, it's there. Your M1 transistor is the NMOS driver, wherein there is no body effect. And for the PMOS load also, which is acting as a current source, it's also having no body effect. So this is my circuit for a common source amplifier with a PMOS current source load. Fine. So let's get into the task of calculating the voltage gain of the circuit. Now in the last session, we have seen that whenever a PMOS transistor is in saturation region, its small signal model can be just a resistor connected, and that resistor is RO. So here, since it is M2 transistor, we can connect it as RO2. And that was an important observation which we have made in the lecture number 8.1. That is that if you have a current source and that current source is in saturation, so between the drain and source, we can connect a resistor RO, right? So in this case, the supply voltage of a small signal model will be ground. So hence you have a ground over here. And between the drain and source, we have connected a resistor RO2. So that's what the small signal model only for M2 we are drawing, right? M1 we can draw it separately. So we have turned our attention to over here. So this circuit 8.2.1 can be converted into 8.2.2 reasonably well. Okay. So we have only drawn the small signal model for M2 transistor. Now what we will do is let us combine them together. I mean, this is just a for convenience. So from this observation, can we directly write the formula for the gain, voltage gain? Because we know the formula for the voltage gain for the transistor for a common source amplifier with resistive load. So can anyone try it out? The voltage gain formula for 8.2.2, similar to what we have seen over here. Anyone? Yes, you are correct. So here we can say AV is equal to minus of GM time. I mean, we can say over here GM times RO1 parallel to RO2. And how can we write this equation? We are writing this equation in the form of an analogy from here. So here AV was equal to minus GM times RD parallel to RO. Similarly, here we can write this AV is GM time minus GM times RO1 parallel to RO2, right? So this we can easily write. Now let's formally derive it. So what we will do is, how do we formally derive this? Draw the small signal model for M1 and M2 separately and join them together. Yeah. So concentrate over here, please. So let me select this part and cancel it out, and let's formally derive it now. Okay. So let me keep this two screens open now. Yeah. So first we'll draw for M1 transistor. So M1 transistor, we have a gate terminal over here connected to V in. Yes, G1 connected to V in. Between gate and source, it's an open circuit. VGS1 it is. Between the drain and source, we have GM into VGS1 and RO1 coming over here between drain and source. And we have output taken from the drain 1 terminal. Fine. Now let's come back to M2 transistor. So M2 transistor is just reverse. It's a PMOS device, right? So between this is my drain 2 terminal. So between the drain 2 terminal and the source terminal is connected to ground, right? And this VB is also constant value, so that also will be gone. So your gate terminal is also connected to ground. Your source terminal is also connected to ground over here. So between the drain and the source, we have GM into VSG2 into, in parallel to RO2. So that is what we have over here now, right? And what can we suspect over here? Here the gate terminal and the source terminal both are connected to ground. That means VSG is 0, VSG2 is 0. So that means GM2 into VSG2 is 0, right? So your GM2 into VSG2 current source is replaced by open circuit, right? As shown over here. Correct? So this is shown as an open circuit. So now see carefully, drain 1 and drain 2 terminal are same. One terminal is connected to RO2 and RO2 other terminal is connected to ground. It is same as saying that RO1 and RO2 are connected in parallel. So just have a look what we have done so far. So we have done we have drawn the small signal model for M1 transistor and M2 transistor and joined them together. Now we have concluded that gate terminal and the source terminal of M2 transistor are same. So, and they are connected to ground. So GM2 VGS2 current source will be a 0. So we replaced by open circuit. And from here we determine that RO1 and RO2 are connected in parallel, right? We already know the formula that AV will be minus GM into RO1 parallel to RO2, but still we will formally define and derive it. So our final circuit, small signal model of a circuit looks something like this. So we have a gate terminal, gate 1, source 1, drain 1. Between the drain 1 and source 1, we have one current source and two resistances. So RO1 and RO2. And we have a parallel voltage across these two resistances will be V out. So current flowing through RO2 will be V out upon RO2. And current flowing through RO1 will be V out upon RO1. So what we will do is, your V in, a very smart observation will be, V in is equal to VGS1. Okay, V in is equal to VGS1. That is an observation because these two are connected in parallel. I hope that screen is still visible. Yeah, V in is equal to VGS1. Next is we applied a KCL at the drain 1 node. So drain 1, we have three currents flowing, GM1 into VGS1 plus V out upon RO1 plus V out upon RO2, right? So here it is, we have written, and VGS1 will be replaced by V in, correct? So GM into V in plus V out upon RO1 plus V out upon RO2 is equal to 0. So we'll club the V out terms and V in terms on the one side. So after algebraically, you will solve this and you will get V out upon V in is equal to minus GM1 into RO1 RO2 divided by RO1 plus RO2. That is nothing but the small signal voltage gain for a common source amplifier with a current source load is given by minus GM1 into RO1 parallel to RO2. That is what is we have discussed before. So this completes the small signal, voltage gain expression for a common source amplifier with a current source load. Now we have earlier determined this circuit before. We can directly include a resistor between your drain and source terminal for a PMOS transistor in working in the saturation region, correct? So the gain AV formula will be minus GM1 into RO1 parallel to RO2, right? And you can see that the output impedance for this circuit will be RO1 parallel to RO2, right? RO1 RO2 itself is very high value, so its parallel combination will bring down or lower the value actually. Fine. So this is all about the small signal voltage gain for a common source stage with current source load. Okay, so I'll keep this screen open for some time and so that you can have a look at it. So first we started with the circuit of PMOS load as a current source. Then we have drawn its small signal model only for M2, and we could have directly written the formula, but we have formally derived it. So for that, we have drawn the small signal model for M1 and M2 transistor, clubbed them together, and these are the steps we have followed to finally arrive at the expression of the voltage gain for common source amplifier with current source load. So this is the formula, minus GM1 into RO1 parallel to RO2. Now, let's check the biasing conditions for this transistor. Definitely, right? Because we require both the transistor to be in saturation. Fine. So let's concentrate on that. So let's talk about the biasing condition next. So I know that this M2 is my PMOS load, where my VSB is 0 for this. That means my no body effect. Whereas NMOS driver also is not suffering from body effect. So number one condition should be, we should check for the source to body voltage, whether it's connected to ground or not. Next, the biasing voltage VB is the biasing DC voltage, right? Should be selected such that your M2 transistor remains in saturation. So let's find out the condition. For M2 transistor to be in saturation, your VSD2 should be greater than VSG2 minus mod of VTH2, right? And also we can also write from this circuit diagram that VSD2 can be written as VDD minus Vout. If you see carefully, if you apply the KVL to the output loop, we get VDD minus VSD2 minus Vout is equal to 0. So hence we can write VSD2 is equal to VDD minus Vout. Fine. So we substitute this VSD2 equal to VDD minus Vout over here. So we get VDD minus Vout should be greater than VSG2 minus mod of VTH2. So over here, if we can write VSG2 also. So what is VSG2 from this circuit diagram? It is VDD minus VB. VSG2. So VS2 is VDD, VG2 is VB. So VSG2 is VDD minus VB. So we substitute over here, instead of VSG2, VDD minus VB. So the new expression becomes VDD minus Vout should be greater than VDD minus VB minus mod of VTH2. So VDD gets cancelled. So if you put VB on the left hand side, what do we get? VB should be greater than Vout minus VTH2. So this is one condition. This condition should be satisfied for the M2 transistor to remain in saturation, such that your VB should be greater than Vout minus VTH2. So that's one condition. Now, for the M1 transistor to remain in saturation, so similar condition we have for M1 transistor to remain in saturation. Let me copy this diagram below also, so that it's visible. Yeah. So over here, for M1 to be in saturation, your VDS1 should be greater than VGS1 minus VTH1. Okay, whereas your VDS1 is same as your Vout. That means your Vout should be greater than VGS1 minus VTH1. That is one condition. And second condition is what? VGS1 should be greater than VTH1. Fine. So these two conditions are satisfied. Only then we can say that M1 transistor is in saturation. In fact, we can even show a biasing voltage to make sure that your VGS is greater than VTH, and that will ensure that your M1 transistor will remain in saturation region. So this is all about the biasing conditions for the transistor to remain in saturation, for M1 and M2 to remain in saturation. Fine. So let me keep this for some time so that you can have a look at it. So we have found the minimum, the condition on VB for the M2 transistor to remain in saturation, and similarly the conditions for M1 transistor to remain in saturation. Okay, so let's move on to the next topic. Next is a question wherein, look carefully, for the circuit shown below, compute the voltage gain. That's what they have given, right? And look carefully, the circuit looks similar to what we have done so far. But look where the input is applied. The input is applied to the M2 transistor, and VB, the biasing voltage, is applied to the M1 transistor. Here again, the M1 and M2 are not suffering from body effect. So VSB is 0 for both the cases. So let's start. Here, this circuit is called as a PMOS, common source amplifier, using a NMOS current source load. Okay, so that means your M2 is my driver transistor and M1 is my load transistor. So this is the circuit. Again, I repeat the name. It's a PMOS common source amplifier using NMOS current source load. Fine. So what we will do, what is a normal, we will go by the long cut technique. So what, we can go by the shortcut technique also, but we'll go by the longer technique now, and later on I will describe what was the shortcut technique also. So what is the long cut technique? The long cut one is that we have to replace M1 and M2 by its small signal model. So let's try to do that. So this is how it looks like, right? Your VDD will be replaced by ground. So let's start with talk about M1. So M1, we have gate terminal. Gate terminal will be connected to ground because VB is a constant value. Source terminal is connected to ground. So source 1 and gate 1 are grounded. And between drain and source 1, drain 1 and source 1, we have GM1 into VGS1 and parallel to RO1. Now let's talk about M2. M2 gate terminal is connected to VIN, correct? And source terminal is grounded. And between drain 2 and source 2, we have GM2 into VSG2 parallel to RO2. So that is the situation we have over here. So the small signal model for both the transistors, when you combine together, it looks something like this, which you can see on your screens right now. I hope it is visible, right? Yeah. So over here, for M2 transistor, you look carefully. Gate 1 and source 1 terminal are grounded. That means VSG1 is 0. That means GM1 into VGS1 is gone. It's a current source, right? Current source 0 means it's open circuit. So your circuit reduces to this network. Fine. So when the circuit reduces to this network, you can see carefully the drain 1 and drain 2 terminal are tied together. One end of the terminal of the drain 1 is connected to drain 2, which is your RO1 terminal, and other terminal is connected to ground. That means this RO1 will come in parallel to RO2, right? So when you do that, your circuit diagrams look something like this. I have redrawn the circuit in the form that it is suitable. So here we have V in, same circuit it is, only thing as I've reversed it, right? So here we have G2, V in, plus minus VSG2 between gate 2 and source 2. Between drain 2 and source 2, we have GM2, VSG2, parallel to RO1, parallel to RO2, and we have output voltage across RO1. Right? Now this is the small signal model of the circuit. Now, since this voltage V out is parallel to RO1 and RO2, we can write the current flowing through RO2 will be V out upon RO2, and the current flowing through RO1 will be V out upon RO1. Correct? So let's start, calculating the voltage gain, that is V out upon V in for this. So from the circuit, we can write V in is equal to VSG2 because they are in parallel. Now, when we apply KCL at the drain 2 node, what do we get? GM2 VGS2 plus V out upon RO1 plus V out upon RO2 is equal to 0. And what is this VSG2 is equal to V in, correct? That is what we have said just now. They are in parallel, so they must be equal. So GM2 into V in plus V out upon RO1 plus V out upon RO2 is equal to 0. So if you solve them, you will get V out upon V in is equal to minus GM2 into RO1 parallel to RO2. So only what have changed, earlier we had for the NMOS common source amplifier with a PMOS current source load, the GM was GM1. This quantity was GM1. In this case, it is GM2, right? Now, how can we do it with a shortcut technique? No lengthy derivations, directly from observation we can do it, right? So when we know that your M1 transistor is being applied a bias voltage, and that bias voltage is a BB voltage, right? That will make sure that M1 transistor is in saturation. Whenever a NMOS transistor is in saturation, we can replace its drain and source terminal with a resistance RO, right? And in this case, RO1. Now we have this circuit over here. From this circuit, we have the driver transistor M2 and your load as RO1, right? So how can we write the gain? Gain AV will be given by minus GM2 into RO1 parallel to RO2. Very simple. So just by a quick observation, we have to be vigilant about it, correct? So whenever a particular transistor M1 or M2 are acting as a constant current source, it can be replaced by between the drain and source terminal by a MOSFET output resistance, which is RO. And so in this case, we have replaced this M1 by RO1, provided that M1 is in acting as a constant current source. Okay, so that is the condition. So we have solved it by traditional approach, that is a longer technique. And in many ways, that if your circuit is involving a very complex circuit, then we have to use these concepts, which will be very, very useful in solving numericals and understanding concepts. Okay, I hope that this is clear. Why we have drawn over here RO1, that was explained in 8.1 lecture session. You all can refer that. And this is my PMOS current source amplifier with a NMOS as a common source amplifier, PMOS common source amplifier with NMOS as a current source load. Fine. So this is the expression we have observed. GM2 into RO1 parallel to RO2. Fine. So I will give you some time to glance through it, what we have done so far. So we have been given a circuit and we are supposed to find a voltage gain. So we started by drawing the small signal equivalent model. We have simplified it, and then we have started deriving the expression for the voltage gain. And finally, we also verified by a shortcut technique that the expression can be written within very few seconds. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. So question number 2 is, estimate the maximum output voltage swing of a common source amplifier with a resistive and a current source loads. Okay, so they are asking us to find out the maximum output voltage swing for common source amplifier, first with resistive load. So let us begin. So first of all, we draw a common source amplifier with resistive load. So load we have considered as RD. So here V in is equal to VGS, V out is equal to VDS. That is very well known to us, right? So the maximum output voltage over here we can get is near to VDD. And when can that happen? That can happen when M1 transistor is off. And when the M1 transistor will be off? Whenever VGS is less than VTH. That means V in is less than VTH. Okay. So when V in is less than VTH, we can say that the maximum output voltage is equal to VDD, because then the M1 transistor is off, no current flows to RD, so your output voltage will be VDD. So in summary, we have written for M1 is off when if Vin is less than VTH, that means the current is 0. So Vout is given by VDD minus IDRD. ID is 0, so Vout will be equal to VDD. So the Vout maximum swing will be VDD. That is for sure. Let's calculate the minimum output voltage. So over here, the minimum output voltage is at Vin minus VTH. Let us prove that point, right? So let's say M1 is at the edge of saturation region, or we also call it as a triode region. Now, what is that condition for M1 to be at the edge of saturation? VDS should be equal to VGS minus VTH. I repeat, VDS should be equal to VGS minus VTH. And what is VDS over here? V out. And what is VGS? V in. So what can we say over here? V in, V out is equal to V in minus VTH. So this is my minimum voltage swing. So V out max is VDD. That is a full swing we are getting. But for minimum swing, we are getting it as V in minus VTH, which is your V out minimum. Okay, clear about it? So this is my output swing for a common source amplifier with resistive load. It's not an ideal full swing. We have a limited V out, negative swing. It's limited to V in minus VTH, whereas the positive swing is going up till VDD, as expected it should be. So V out max, if we do V out max minus V out minimum, we will get VDD minus V in minus VTH. Okay, or we can write VDD minus V in plus VTH. That is what the expression is. So this is about the common source amplifier with resistive load, the output swing. Let's calculate it for a current source load. So this circuit over here, which you see in front of your screens, is my NMOS common source amplifier with a PMOS current source. Okay, and we have to find the output swing, V out max and V out minimum. So the maximum output voltage for this circuit is near to VDD minus mod of VSG2 minus VTH2, right? The mod sign completes. So how is that? So we get a maximum output voltage whenever M2 is at the edge of saturation region. And when is M2 at the edge of saturation region? When VSD2, which is equal to, now how can we write VSD2? VSD2 is nothing but VDD minus V out, right? So we can write VSD2, which is VDD minus V out, should be equal to VSG2 minus mod of VTH2. And we can write it like this: V out is equal to VDD minus VSG2 minus mod of VTH2. So your V out maximum value will be VDD minus VSG2 minus mod of VTH2. So that's the value of V out max. Now, what is V out minimum? Similar to what we have done in the common source amplifier with resistive load, that the minimum output voltage is when the output, the M1 transistor is at the edge of triode region or saturation region. Both are one and the same. So we can write VDS1, condition for the condition for the MOSFET to be in the edge of saturation is that VDS1 should be equal to VGS1 minus VTH. So over here, VDS1 is V out, VGS1 is V in, right? So V out will be equal to V in minus VTH. So your V out minimum is V in minus VTH1. So this is the output swing, V out max minus V out minimum for a common source amplifier with a current source load. Okay. So I will leave the screen open for some time so that you can have a look at it. First, let us see the common source amplifier with resistive load. So this was the output swing, V out max and V out minimum. This will come in handy. The topic which we are discussing they might ask you in the numericals. You find the output swing for this given circuit. So we have to determine it this way. Remember, we have written over here V in, but actually it means VGS only, VGS minus VTH. So instead of writing V in, we could have written over here VGS minus VTH, or VGS1 if the transistor is called as M1. Similarly over here, we have found out the output swing, that is Vout max and Vout minimum value for this circuit. And what is this circuit? Common source amplifier with a current source load. So here also we could have written VGS1 minus VTH, but nevertheless it's one and the same thing only, V in or VGS1. Okay, so let's proceed forward, and we have come to the end of discussion for the common source load, right? So let us see some of the advantages and issues associated with common source amplifier with a current source load. So first of all, let's see an advantage. Voltage gain is given by minus GM1 into RO1 parallel to RO2, which is much higher as compared to resistive and the triode load. We have not discussed triode load, we will be discussing this very soon. So the voltage gain is much higher compared to resistive load currently. Then disadvantage will be generating a precise value of VB. So that's an additional complexity, because extra circuit is required to generate that bias voltage, and which is difficult to design and use. That's a problem actually. Then we get a lower voltage swing. We have seen now the Vout max and Vout minimum value. Vout max is not equal to VDD, and Vout minimum is not equal to 0. So it has a lower voltage swing, which is a problem. Then next, the voltage gain variation with the input voltage. Does my voltage gain varies with the input? Yes, in this case, yes. How? AV is given by minus GM1 into RO1 parallel to RO2. And what is GM1 given by? Mu n Cox W by L, VGS1 minus VTH. And what is VGS1 in case of a common source load? VGS1 is nothing but your V in, right? So that means if I can replace this with V in, my output voltage, I mean my small signal voltage gain depends upon V in. And if the gain varies with input voltage, it will definitely lead to non-linearity or distortion. So this is a problem, right? The only advantage over here is that the gain is higher, but we require a precise value of VB, which is a bias voltage. It has a lower voltage swing, and there is a problem of gain variation with input voltage, which can lead to non-linearity. Okay, so we have come to the end of this session. So have a look at it for the advantages and issues in common source amplifier with current source load, and then we will be ending the today's session. Okay, so today we have discussed the common source amplifier with current source load. We have first of all derived the voltage gain by analytical method, and then by a shortcut technique for a common source amplifier with a PMOS as a current source. So that's all for this session. Next time we will begin with solving some numericals on the same topic. So until then, have a good day and thank you.